How many four-letter words can I use on that?
Trying to switch to a double. Chetta is driving. Nothing yet. Takedown, Michael Chetta.
Oh, Nick, I'm a top guy, so I love top wrestling.
Hale trying to stick him. He does. Maximus Hale the fall.
So I think that wrestling is the greatest sport on earth.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into On3 Wrestling. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me today is Olympic silver medalist and 2025 U.S. Open champion Kennedy Blades of Iowa Women's Wrestling. Kennedy, we're looking forward to talking to you pretty much all day. I'm glad you joined the program today, taking time out of your busy schedule. Already doubling up practice today, so I appreciate taking time out of your day.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's just start out right there. U.S. Open champion, 68 kilos, 3 straight tech falls for you in the tournament. I mean, did you even break a sweat? I mean, you might have broken more of a sweat in practice today than you did in that tournament.
Yeah, no, the tournament was definitely good. It was, it was the first time that I wrestled 68 kilo scratch. The first time I wrestled 68 kilos was in Croatia in January, but we had +2 kilos, so it was 70. But yeah, I felt really good, very strong, very fast. And I just felt like myself out there. I didn't have to cut too much weight either. I think I only had to lose maybe like a pound or something. But yeah, it was good. And I'm glad, the tournament turned out the way it did. So
it's funny you mentioned the weight cutting. You didn't have to actually cut too much weight. You actually made scratch weight this time around. You were 76 kilos for the Olympics last summer. What went into this decision to drop down in weight? Obviously, you wrestled at 160 pounds for the collegiate season for Iowa, but what went into your decision to dropping down a couple weight classes for at least this cycle?
Yeah, so basically, so when I went to ASU, my freshman year, I was with Sun. I planned on going 76 kilos for that cycle just because I'm tall. I could probably put on some weight, and that's 167 pounds. And I was walking around like 160, but we thought I could put on some weight, lift a lot, eat, even though it's hard for me to eat sometimes. But yeah, that was tough for me to force myself to eat, creatine, all this stuff. So then what's crazy was I was actually really trying, and I touched 75 kilos once. And I was like, oh, finally. But I kept accidentally dropping. I don't know. I think it's my metabolism, something about my body where I just can't hold the weight. Mm-hmm. So actually the second day of the Olympics, so the Olympics comes and everything, I'm stuck at 74 kilos. I tried my best the whole summer, didn't work out. And then the second day of weigh-ins, because you have to make scratch, I weighed 73.8 kilos. And I just remember telling my coach, I'm never going 76 again. I can't. I really am trying to gain weight, but these girls are bigger than me. And although I really used my speed and my technique, because the girls were definitely bigger than me, because they were cutting. I felt the weight. I was honestly, I think I'm just gonna go 68. And he's like, well, let's see if maybe 72. And I'm like, okay, but I had a feeling I would drop pretty low because in high school I wrestled 152, and so I knew I was around because 68 is 149. So I knew I was around that weight, off of creatine and stuff. So yeah, after the Olympics, I just got off of creatine. I did whatever I want. I still ate whatever I want. I actually still eat whatever I want. I literally have but I just love how my body just, thank God. But anyway, yeah, and then I dropped a few pounds, and I was walking around 158, and I remember telling Coach Clarissa Chun that I wanted to be the 160 pounder for here at Iowa, and she's like, can you make the weight? Because she thought I was solid 167. I'm like, oh, 100%. So yeah, so then after that, I was walking around 158, so I was still kind of holding my weight a little bit because season was into play. And then slowly I just started losing weight. I don't really know how I lose weight. I just love my metabolism, thank God. And I also train a lot, so I guess it comes into play. And then luckily I got my wisdom teeth out maybe 2 weeks or a week and a half before US Open. So I literally couldn't eat anything. So I just lost so much weight. So I was 151. I'm I only have to lose 2 pounds. It was really great. So yeah, I don't know. It was really easy. So I feel I'm naturally yesterday we had a really hard practice with the guys. We went live, and I weighed 148. So I'm underweight. So I'm just life is great right now. I'm just happy.
That is insane. I mean, just hearing that whole saga where you were just trying to put on muscle mass, whatever you were just trying to do last year, just to get up to weight for the Olympics. And who knows, those women are probably cutting, the weight class is 76. They might be, maybe in the low 80s in terms of their weight and then cutting back down. I mean, I can only imagine you were trying to just bulk and bulk and bulk. You mentioned the training, you mentioned the lifting, the eating, but you have to eat clean. I mean, what was like your go-to meal? It's like, all right, I need to eat X amount of, steaks, pieces of chicken. What were you doing? And you were just like, all right, that's enough of this.
Honestly, my diet was like not the best, only because I was trying to put on weight. Yeah. But basically, I just remember eating like I ate Culver's pretty much every day. I had pizza. I had tried to eat omelets. I tried to eat steak, chicken, but some candy, honestly. But yeah, I really ate a lot of fast food because it was so easy. Because being a student athlete, so training for the Olympics, but also being a student was so hard to like make food at home. But then luckily, my friend, he, oh my gosh, what's his name? I forgot. He's the Rhino. I can't remember, but he's basically like one of the best bodybuilders or whatever. And he put me on his plan. And luckily he sent me meals and I was able to eat that because in between classes, he's like, you have to eat every 2 hours. And I like, every time I wanted to throw up, I was like, oh, just eating in the hallway. People probably thought was crazy, but yeah, I was just trying to just stuff food in my system because I would use that fuel for practice or for running and everything. And then I would still have to eat on top of that. So yeah, it was a lot of protein and carbs. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't eat that many vegetables. But
that's quite all right.
Yeah.
It didn't affect your wrestling too much, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is amazing how that just becomes almost like a job in itself because, again, wrestling for you in college and obviously on the senior level, that's pretty much your job as well. In addition to being a student, then throw food on top. It's like, oh, now I have to eat, which is kind of, you're more of yourself this past weekend at 68 kilos. You're more natural weight. You dominate through the bracket, outscoring your opponents 33-0. So was this the first time in a while where you're like, okay, I really felt like myself wrestling? And maybe it was like that during the college season as well, but were you like, okay, this is like the best I've ever felt while wrestling?
Yeah, I definitely think I wrestled like finally my weight. Even in the college season, I was like 155, 158, and the girls would cut from like 170. So they felt bigger, even though I would still like, win. But yeah, this was honestly the very first tournament I was like, man, like I could blast through her, like, because I could blast through people, but like I could lift and go through. Like it was really nice. So I'm just super excited for this new weight class. And like I'm still floating around my weight. Like I kind of wish I was naturally 155 so I could have some sort of mass, but it's okay. Honestly, nothing really changed with my wrestling. So yeah.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. So a couple of your highlights from this past weekend, I think there was a viral video. I forget if it was your second round match, your semifinal match. You hit a 5-point throw, basically 50 back. Yeah, very insane. I mean, I've seen you do that, many times watching your matches. I mean, is that your patented move at this point? Just, all right, you know what? Need a toss here. We need 5. Let's go.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like I've hit it so much that like, I mean, but like basically I'm like, oh, okay. A lot of people expect me to hit it now, and it's like, oh, I want to put on a show and everything. Like people love the blast doubles, but like now that's boring. Like when they're watching me, I'm like, oh, I have to hit a suplex now. Like can't even be a throw; it has to be a 5. But yeah. So I just right when I get them like behind their back, I just full send it because I'm like, first of all, the match will go by quicker because I'm always trying to be on and off, and then second, it's a really pretty nice move, and no one else really. Like, I don't know what has been happening lately, but I've just been hitting it over and over. It's almost like one suplex per tournament at this point. Like, but yeah, I just remember though, like my first home duel here in Iowa. I felt pressure like hitting it because I knew the crowd wanted to see a suplex, right? Especially hitting it after the Olympics. So I was like trying to think about like how to set it up and all this stuff. I didn't even care about. Well, obviously I cared about winning, but my goal was to hit the suplex, like basically 2 5s and end the match. So when I won in the match, that was kind of a backfire because like I almost got pinned. Like I didn't like when I hit it. Okay, first of all, it was a belly to belly, super, super risky because they can catch themselves. So when I hit it, like I had to fight so hard to like keep turning, and I was like, oh shoot, you know what? I gotta be smart, like just not force it, you know. So then my dad was talking to me. He was like, hey, Kenny, just remember it will be there if it's supposed to be there. Just don't force it, all this stuff. It's not Greco, you know, it's freestyle.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that makes sense. So then when I didn't think about it, I hit it. So I'm just like, oh shoot. So I'm just gonna not go in there trying to hit suplex, just go in there, win, and if it's there, it's there. So yeah. What's crazy is like I remember at nationals, what was it? I think it was after. No, I forgot. Oh, okay. So basically, my team, we needed points, right, to like win the national tournament. And if you pin, there's more points.
Of course.
So obviously, I wasn't trying to end the match quickly like I like to do because I had to figure out how to pin. So when I got behind the girl, I just dropped her down right away to get 2 instead of 5 so that I could try to look for a pin. But unfortunately, like the points caught up and I wasn't able to get the pin. So then when I was walking to my parents, like I had like 5 people come up to me and they were like, man, I thought you were going to hit suplex. That was disappointing. Come on, Kenny, what are you doing? I'm like, guys, like what the heck? I won. I'm sorry I didn't hit it for you. Like, it was kind of crazy. They honestly have no filter, but I was like, damn, I really disappointed them, I guess, because like 2 people said that. But yeah, honestly though, I just love hitting it because first of all, I know it's gonna be on the highlight reel, and then second, I know the pictures are gonna be nice, and then third, I'll get the match over with. So
of course, it could be over in 2 throws. It is kind of insane. We're just like, hey, you know, you win 10-0 in about 90 seconds, but you didn't hit a suplex. People were like, well, I guess we'll have to wait for the next one, which is kind of insane.
Pretty much.
So when we're looking at what's coming up next, I want to look at your college season in a second. But so you're going to be in Final X in June up in Newark, New Jersey, not too far from my stomping grounds down in South Jersey. When you prepare for Final X, are you doing another tournament beforehand? Is there any other competitions you're doing, or is it solely, all right, I need the winner? You know, there's one other person I'm going to wrestle in a best of 3 series. That's what I'm focusing on. What's between now and Final X in June?
Yeah, so actually, I leave next Wednesday to Pan-Ams. So I'm going to Pan-Ams. Basically, whoever won U.S. Open, they could claim a spot to go to Pan American Games, seniors. And some people aren't because they're just focusing on Final X. But because I technically have like, I have some points, but I don't have a lot of points in the world ranking because I switched to weight class.
Right.
I would be ranked number 2 of 76, but I switched to 68. So I'm just trying to get as many points as possible before Worlds. And Pan-Ams is like a ranking / Pan American Championship. So that's going to be a good amount of points. So that's what's next. So that I wrestle, I forgot when I wrestle. I think like the 9th, and then Spencer wrestles the 11th. So him and I are like training for that right now. And then because right now, since I'm Hawkeye Wrestling Club, like Brands has a system, and then those guys are also training for World Team Trials in Kentucky or something.
Yep.
And then but at the end of the day, it's me and Spencer that are Pan-Ams, and then Final X. So those are the next things that are coming up, and I'm really excited because like I just know it's gonna be good.
Awesome to hear. We love seeing you in action, obviously. So when we're talking about Iowa, I'll start with your team first, the women's team. I talked to head coach Clarissa Chun just last year as well. I'm really excited that at least Iowa's was the first Big Ten team to implement a women's program, and who knows what that leads to down the line. But your season in totality, I feel like we are repeating ourselves here. Your dominant U.S. Open tournament this past weekend. You went 25-0 this past year. I don't think you had a regular decision. I think it was all just 23 techs and 2 pins this year.
Yeah,
out to a national title. You were named Women's College Wrestler of the Year by USA Wrestling. Just how do you sum up your first year at Iowa? Because obviously, you came from Arizona State. We're training with Sunkist. How do you sum up, with this new environment and being in Iowa, being on a Division I Power 4 team, which is, still, I don't want to say rare, but still new for women's college wrestling at the D1 level?
Yeah, honestly, summing up my college season and experience overall so far it's been amazing. My goal was obviously to bring home a national title, but on top of that, bring home the team title and just do everything I can. And so we were able to win national duels and nationals. And so I think I did a pretty good job helping out the team. But then there were other things that came with like some OWs, women's college wrestler of the year, stuff like that. And so I've just been training hard, honestly, focused on school so much. And I just knew that things will come if I do everything the right way. And obviously, you know, God is showing me that with all the awards I'm getting. So I'm just super satisfied and happy. And I just can't wait to keep going and just do it again next year. You know, but obviously at the end of the day, my entire goal is Olympics. But the best part is that there's a bunch of mini goals in between that I'm trying to hit, like being a national champ and being a world champ, stuff like that. So, yeah, just being here in this environment too, you know, all the girls are training so hard. We all want the same thing at the end of the day, not just a national title or world title, but an Olympic title. And so just having that mindset around me 24/7, it's just pushing me, and seeing the girls, like, you know, looking to the side and seeing them sprint even harder, you know, makes me want to go harder. So the dynamic here is amazing. And then even the coaching staff, you know, they have a lot of accolades. So, you know, I just know that they have great minds. And yeah, this team is amazing. So I just can't wait for next season, especially with NCAAs. We finally sanctioned it as the 91st sport, I think. So yeah, it's going to blow up really good.
Yeah, I want to dive into that in a second. It's interesting with your dynamic and how dominant you guys were on the mat as a team, and of course individually with a lot of girls, a lot of teammates of yours that have a lot of accolades, such as yourself. You mentioned, you know, everyone has that, you know, great minds think alike. Olympic titles, you know, that's the ultimate goal for pretty much any wrestler that is in elite standing. You get the silver medal last year, and I don't think you've lost a match either collegially or internationally since then. What did you do from last summer to basically this point, you know, through the U.S. Open this past weekend, that maybe flipped the switch in your brain? Was it something physical? I know you already talked about the weight cut, you know, getting back down to a more natural weight. Was it as simple as that, or was there something else that you switched and maybe that's something that clicked after last year's Olympics?
Yeah. So what's crazy is last year, before the Olympic trials, I literally lost for an entire year. I didn't win anything. I took second, third. At least I did not play. No, I did place and everything. But I just remember I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is supposed to be the year where I'm supposed to win the Olympics, and I haven't won one tournament. You know, I lost to Adeline at Final X. I lost the U23 Worlds, got food poisoning, and lost the Junior Worlds. Like, it was just a bunch of like losses, and obviously my confidence was like not going, you know, it was kind of going south. So Coach Izzy, who's my personal coach, he actually introduced me to one of my friends, Coach Kelly. She's the head coach of Northwestern lacrosse, and she helped me so much with my mindset. You know, she was basically like my sports psychologist in a way. But you know, by the way, like Northwestern lacrosse, they have like 15 national titles. They're like really, really good. So
pretty good.
She knew, yeah, I know, right? I was just pretty good. But she knew what I was going through. You know, she knew like these ups and downs and all these roadblocks and stuff. So she would help me so much. Plus, she was a female, so it was easy for us to relate. And what's even better too is she wasn't in the sport of wrestling, so she was super open, and I could tell her anything I want. I can be honest with her. Whereas sometimes I felt like I had to like put a mask on and try to act like I'm really tough to, like, you know, other wrestling coaches, stuff like that. So she was really perfect. And every time I basically lost, we always try to find like a positive from that negative. And that was a really good mindset for me. And then also just having a childlike mentality we talked about, where just go out there and have fun and trust my training, because I really do train really hard. Like, honestly, some days I'm just like, what the heck? But she just kept saying, like, if you really train so hard, why not show it off on the mat? You know, like, why would I let my mentality get in the way of everything that I'm doing? So I just kept having that mentality, just kept smiling and being positive, and it helped me so much. And then I won the Olympic trials, and I was like, okay, bet. Now it's Olympics. Like, let's hope we win that. And then I lost, but which kind of sucked. But you know, I just thank God so much for where I got to, because I just know He has a plan for me. It's bigger than, you know, me winning the gold medal, stuff like that. So I just, you know, went to His perspective, and I was just super grateful and stuff. And now I was like, okay, now it's time to have fun in college season, you know, something I've never done before. So that's what I did. I just went out there, had fun. I kept my training, because at the end of the day, like as talented as I am, I guess, and like as a lot of people are, if you don't put hard work into that talent, then, talent can only take you so far. Right. So I just knew that I had to keep working hard no matter what, even if it's like college season or it's not, world stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So as I kept working hard, I just basically ran through some of the tournaments and I was like, this is really fun. And I just kept learning and trying different moves and stuff because as I went down a weight class, the girls from 76 compared to 68, they move differently. They actually shoot. They like actually wrestle, whereas like 76, they're kind of like they just hold there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like move. But so I kind of had to adapt a little bit and I've learned so much this year. And so being at 160 where they're still a little bit bigger, but they can still move, it's really helped me a lot, especially in Croatia and then at US Open. So yeah, I think I'm just having more fun than anything. And, I'm just trusting my training and not letting my mentality get in the way. And I think that's what's really helped me a lot from this time from last year to now. So, I'm really looking forward to the future and I just can't wait to see, what else is in store.
It looks like a great shift for you considering, it was just less than a year ago out in Paris and now it's totally different. You're going through a college season now, this next senior level cycle. So it is great to see for you personally and obviously how it affects your teammates. I wanted to get back to Iowa real quick. Before we get into what it means for the women's side of things to get to the be an NCAA sanctioned sport now in terms of the championships, I guess just being in that Iowa room must be kind of insane because you made the move from Arizona State, which was a very lauded room in itself, and then you make this move to Iowa City. And now you're with the likes of obviously the brands are the men's head coaches, and you're working with them right now for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. You mentioned Spencer Lee before already. Who he won a silver medal last year, and for how great he was at Iowa. What's it like? Not only for your own teammates, Kylie Welker's one of your teammates, there's so much talent in that room, men and women. I mean, how bonkers is it to walk into that room every day and be like, okay, yeah, like everyone's going to get better today.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an environment I was looking forward to being in, especially making the transition from ASU. I wanted to find a place where I was comfortable and I knew that at the end of the day, I could still chase my Olympic dream because I do plan on being here till 2028, doing so, especially after graduating. But there's just so much talent in the room. And like I said, like just seeing that talent work hard, that pushes me even more. And that's exactly what I needed and wanted. And then, just having people I looked up to, like Spencer, like it's crazy. I remember watching his matches when I was younger and like my dad even made a drill called Spencer Lee drill, which is a bunch of tilts. And then he was like my teammate at the Olympics. It's like, what? Like, and then now I get to, see him every day and we get to talk and we haven't trained yet. Well, I don't know. I am kind of big, but we'll see if I ever can wrestle with him. But yeah, I train with Macy, Kylie, Reese, a bunch of girls in the room, they're amazing. And, they push me too. Like, people are like, oh, because you're bigger and all this stuff. But, like, we all go at a high pace, and I have to try different moves and stuff because, everyone kind of knows what I do. So I have to figure out, like, what will work if they sprawl on me, stuff like that. And so a bunch of different feels in the room, still high level, though, and I love that. And then, the brands coaches, I mean, they're really iconic. I mean, like, they're literally, like, Iowa. So just being coached by them and then just seeing, like, I mean, it's funny because in the wrestling room, like when I'm wrestling, like I thought like, oh, okay, like I'm just here, I'm just gonna go with some of the guys. But then I get destroyed by the guys, but they're like yelling, like, move your feet, Kenny. I'm like, I thought I was moving my feet. I guess I'm not. So they push me a lot in the room. I mean, they're yelling at me and pushing me, but not in a bad way. It's like in a good way. And it reminds me a lot of Coach Izzy, which is perfect because, just the high level wrestling is exactly what I need. I mean, that's what you need at the end of the day to be the champ, the best in the world. So many great minds in that wrestling room. And the best part about Iowa that wasn't anywhere near how it was at Sunkist is the fan base, Everyone, like, you're like a role model here. You're like a celebrity almost in a way. And it's just so cool to see how many people say that I inspired them, stuff like that. And they even like wear my shirts and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, what? But, the fans are so great here. It's like a huge family here. I mean, they're rooting for you regardless. It's like at any point you even score, like if it's a push out, the whole place erupts at the home duels. It's amazing. So, Yeah, I mean, Iowa's definitely a special place.
To go along with that, what has head coach Clarissa Chun meant to you in that entire women's team, considering, when Iowa said, yeah, we're going to be the first, Big Ten or Big Ten school to have a Division I women's program, and pretty much you guys hit the ground running, individual national champs, chasing team titles, all that great stuff, how dominant you guys are during the dual season. What has she meant as the leader of that program? And just me personally seeing, talking to her last year, I was like, yeah, I don't see how this team ever loses at this point with her.
Yeah.
All the girls that she ends up recruiting. What has she meant to you as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Chun is amazing. I've honestly been with her since I was like 12 years old, because she used to be the assistant coach at USA Wrestling, and she was at my Pan-Ams, all the camp stuff like that. So easy relationship. I love that so much. And she even cares about our personal life. So that's the best part, is that not only does she care like solely about wrestling, but she also cares about us athletes as an individual. Because although we have a lot of girls, we have 32 of us. She takes account in every single one of us, and I love that about her. And then she has a lot of great moves. She's been at the world level. She has a bronze medal. She's been at worlds millions of times, and she's coached the best athletes. So just picking her brain and just, her implementing that into practices has just been great. And yeah, especially she's really good at like making sure that we peak at the right time too, because, season's long, and, there's injuries, there's school, all this stuff. So she really pushes us in the classroom, says, guys, take care of this. She's very strict with that. But then also when it comes to wrestling, she's even more strict. She's like, we're running, we're doing technique, we're going live, all this stuff. And when it's time to like ramp it up, she knows when. And so when like national comes around or any tournament, our bodies feel great because she's such an expert in that field. So yeah, I mean, she's an amazing coach, and it's just amazing to have her as a head coach, as along with Coach Tanya and Gary. She definitely recruited a great team up there. All of them, like I said, we're at the world level. So just having world level or world class coaches is so fortunate, because I mean, not a lot of colleges have that. So I take advantage. I know all the girls take advantage. Even after classes, after hours at 6 p.m. when we have RTC time, stuff like that. It's definitely a special place. So yeah.
That's great to hear. NCAA announced women's wrestling as a championship sport for 2026. So I believe you're going to go into your senior year of college this coming year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to end now your college career as, potentially an NCAA champion. I think first, just what does that mean to you and the rest of your teammates? And also, how does this, do you think, propel women's wrestling forward? Because the sport, at least at the high school level, has been growing a lot, especially here in Jersey, nationwide as well. Now it seems like Iowa, and then of course the other Division I schools that were already, a part of this, and then maybe it opens doors up for additional Power 4 schools. How do you see the sport of women's wrestling moving forward over the next, let's just say, 5+ years now with the NCAA tag on it?
Yeah, I definitely see women's wrestling basically booming in 5 years. I hope that there's multiple Big Ten schools. Oklahoma State, Ohio State, all those schools are looking at getting a women's program. Obviously, you have to start a club first, but I mean, a lot of them are already having clubs, and so I have a really good feeling. Like, especially with the next cycle, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be intense, and I'm really here for it. It's crazy because like I grew up, it was literally just me and my sister, like pretty much in the whole state of Illinois. We had to wrestle guys. Like, there was really no choice. Although I think my dad would have still, but there was no choice. Like, that was the only path to go. And now, like, I think 2 years ago when I went to IKWF State, which is where I was the first girl to win a title there, they have an entire girls division. I'm like, what the heck? Like what? Like, I thought there were no girl wrestlers. So it's just crazy that, like, I'm really happy that the timing is, now, because God's timing is perfect. And going into college season, I was like hoping, like, man, I hope one day, because being an NWIA, I actually have no idea what it's called, but that champ, like, it's amazing. But, being an NCAA champ is so iconic. Like, I feel like every sport has it. So, my senior year, like, of course, like, that's just an amazing thing that, like, I'll finally be able to say that, because I feel, unfortunately, some of the girls who are older, they can't just go back to college because, their time has passed. So my time is about to pass soon. And I hope that some girls can even say, I'm a 4-time NCAA champ, like all this stuff, because, a lot of barriers are being broken down at such a fast rate that I just can't imagine seeing, how many schools are going to have women's programs. So that's what we're pushing for sure. I hope it happens sooner than later. And yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I like hearing that. I know, I went to Rutgers. They have a women's club team, so maybe that's a potential thing down the line. I know Lehigh has been really strong as a club team. You already mentioned Oklahoma State. I think they're really trying to hit the ground running, try to get a Division I women's program out of the Big 12 or however that's going to work down the line in the future. So speaking of college athletics, because you are at an institution that, again, Division I, Power 4, Iowa, very big in terms of name, image, and likeness. Everyone talks about football, basketball, the big money makers. Obviously, for women's sports, volleyball and gymnastics have been pretty big in terms of NIL stuff as well for female athletes. What's your experience been like at Iowa with NIL? Maybe you have something maybe a different perspective. What's been your whole experience dealing with this part of college athletics, which really wasn't a thing, 5-6 years ago, or maybe even something that you even thought of when you first went to college?
Yeah, I know NIL is a huge thing. Nowadays, like you hear these big stories where like people are transferring and getting millions. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could have that. But yeah, I hope that, like I said, once these barriers break down, with other schools getting women's program, I hope that one day there's also enough money for us to get a lot of NIL. But on the side, basically, since I've taken silver, I've had an amazing management team called Banner Sports. They've helped me so much with NIL or just sponsorships on the side, because being a student athlete, low key, it's not expensive, but like it's not cheap. You're just on the road. You have to buy food, and like you're like, oh shoot, I need shampoo. Like there's just things that you don't think, because you're just so. You're so busy. So yeah, I guess being a college student in general, it's like not the cheapest thing, but yeah, I just I do hope that one day there is enough money for us. I know we're working on donor stuff like that. Coach Chun is doing an amazing job with talking to a bunch of people and stuff, but the best part is that Iowa, we're doing our part. We're undefeated since the program started. We've won nationals every year. This year, every single girl that we sent, because we could send 15, everyone All-American, which is basically unheard of. So, as long as we do our part, hopefully we could bring in the money that way. The accolades show. And so, yeah, but I just know, like I said, there isn't the most money, especially because we just started only 3 years ago. But like I said, yeah, we're working so hard. We're, on paper, we look like we're really good. Well, we are pretty good, but on paper, we look incredible. So like, why not donate, to an amazing program and bless other girls with opportunities, stuff like that. But I also, what might change too is I know that there's a cap now for like at like NIL or NCAA, whatever. Yeah. So our cap is 30, I think, for women and men wrestling. It's
the roster cap. Yep.
Yeah. So I think the reason for that is so that, we can have more financial support for those athletes, instead of like spreading it out like with like 40 girls, you know what I mean? Right. So maybe that can help too. But yeah, I know that NIL is definitely a game changer in sports, college sports in general. Even people are making, more than their own coaches, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so we'll see what the future holds. But I think it's going to be good. I mean, we're skyrocketing right now, so everything's going to be good.
Yeah, I don't see Iowa women's wrestling slowing down anytime soon. Kenny, I appreciate your time. I wanted to end with a little bit of rapid fire for you. Just a couple questions, kind of off the rip. Okay. Your go-to pre-match pump-up song. Do you have one, or do you just like, all right, I got to lock in. I don't want to hear anything. Just leave me in the tunnel. Then like, okay, I'm wrestling now. What is it?
Honestly, I just put my headphones on so no one talks to me, so I don't really have anything. Yeah.
So no pre-match pump-up songs. Just like, all right, leave me alone. I got to wrestle. Let me get out of here. Fine enough. Good enough for me. Your favorite pre-match or tournament meal?
Shrimp Alfredo.
Oh, not really.
Yeah.
I can't. Something like that. Not too heavy, huh?
Oh, well, actually, no, why did I say that? Because I'm so if you weigh in the night before.
Right. Okay. I got you. All right. So
Oh yeah, actually, sorry. Bacon, egg, and cheese croissant sandwich.
that does sound pretty good. We do love our breakfast sandwiches over in New Jersey. Do you have a favorite one after a match or after a tournament, like maybe
Steak.
a celebratory one?
After a tournament, 100% steak. It's just
Steak.
so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great to hear. A good one. Maybe a big porterhouse.
Yeah.
Your favorite hobby off the mat when you're not wrestling, when you get a chance to get away from wrestling.
Yeah. I like fashion a lot. So I like shopping for clothes, doing skincare. I want to be a model after wrestling, so hopefully that's the goal. Yeah.
What is your current major at Iowa right now? And does it relate to a potential fashion career?
Not specifically, but marketing. So I want to go to the business field after, and everyone's saying since marketing is perfect because I'm learning a lot because I'm building my own brand. So yeah.
Awesome. Good to hear. I'll leave you here with this one. I know you are staying at Iowa through this Olympic cycle in 2028, hopefully getting the gold in LA in a couple of years. Do you envision yourself wrestling after that? And if you do or don't, either way, what do you envision yourself doing? I think you kind of just answered the question, but what do you envision yourself doing after wrestling, when you're ready to hang up the shoes?
Yeah, honestly, after wrestling, I do hope so. I don't know how we'll figure it out, but I do want to specifically be a runway model for like big brands like Chanel, all that stuff. But then also I want to be in the business field. Not sure, maybe real estate, big investments with like. I mean, I'm thinking cryptocurrency is gonna blow up, but some people are like iffy about that.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that. So business and runway modeling.
I love it. Runway model and one of the best wrestlers in the world right there, Kennedy Blades. Kennedy, I appreciate your time. Good luck the rest of the way. Looking forward to watching you at Pan-Ams and, of course, at Final X and throughout this entire cycle. And we'll definitely circle back around when we get to the college season as well.
Thank you so much for having me again.